Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. We back on Plot and Progress, episode 46. You know what it is. You know what we do around this time. Every time, you know what we do. We got a special guest in the house tonight, like we always do. But before we jump over to that guest, we got to start with who spit those bars. And I just so happen to have the bars tonight. I don't know them by heart, but I got them, and this might this might be something that y'all get. So let's see. I'm just gonna drop a couple of the bars because if I say something else, y'all might have it. So here it goes. It goes. That's major, just like the Negro League. There was a time when America wouldn't let us ball. Those times are now back. Just called Afrotech. Generational wealth. That's the key. My parents ain't have so the ship started with me. Who that?
Nigga, Legacy.
Who?
Jigga.
Rod Digger?
Jigga, Jay-Z.
Is it?
Oh, that's Jay-Z. Okay.
It's Legacy. I thought it would be so fitting for this particular podcast and this particular group. We talking about Legacy, and that's one song we ain't did yet. Nobody's had no bars from the Legacy song. So yeah, it's Jay-Z, first verse. When I go back and look at the lyrics, I'm like, man, he was chopping. You feel me? And it wasn't necessarily even like rhyming words or anything. He just wanted to give the game in that verse. You feel me? So salute to Jay-Z in that particular verse. He hasn't always been on my top list of artists, but there are a few tracks that I appreciate and I respect from the brother, for sure. Man, True, who we got tonight? You know what? Before we even go into our guests, let's do a quick recap from episode 45. Man, episode 45 was super dope.
Indeed. Rhea Williams, Doughboy Pizza, man. Just going over, her history of being an entrepreneur and everything. And man, what did y'all think? I mean, Bilal, I know you was on the show. The kid got a chance to check her out after the show. What did y'all think? What were some major takeaways you took from that show?
Well, I mean, I'll go first for sure. Man, the sister is super powerful, a lot more powerful than I imagined. I already knew that she had power behind her because she owns a business. You feel me? And the business is great. But then after reading her bio and hearing some of her story, I'm like, man, she's actually like a secret jewel here in the community. So I think if you haven't had the opportunity in Phoenix, Arizona to go visit Doughboy's Pizza at the Arizona Center, make sure you go check that out. Chop it up with the sister. Let her know where you heard about her business from, and just extract some more of that game from her. She got a lot to offer. I think on our episode, she didn't even go into probably half of what she's able to give, because it's kind of when you do things on a major scale like that, it's kind of hard to put it into a box and put it on a certain amount of time. So if we allowed her to keep going, we'd probably still be recording that episode right now. So y'all go check out Doughboy's Pizza, Phoenix, Arizona, at the Arizona Center. Brother Nakia, what did you think about it?
Man, it was dope, man. When I finally got the opportunity of pulling up on the sister, man, what she spoke about on that episode around being able to serve others, man, that was just so powerful to me. And to see it in person, man, was just amazing, man. So shout out and salute to the sister, man, Sister Rhea Williams. Like the brother said, go check her out for sure, man, because it's not oftentimes that you find that caliber of service, in the community, man. And it just spoke volumes to me, man. So that was my takeaway, the service aspect.
I agree. Usually it's either the service or the food, but it's very rare that you find both. You know what I mean?
Man, come on.
You agree, True?
Yeah, man, that was my major takeaway. What I really liked, and you seconded it, Nakia, when she was talking about how when she learns something, she likes to pass it on to the next person. Each one teach one. You got a lot of people. We could be so further. People just didn't hound certain resources and whatnot. They don't understand that ant mentality, right? and how to work as a collective. So I really appreciate that part because it's sad. I don't meet too many people like that. You know what I'm saying? But I know one person who was like that, and he's a guest on the show, and he's here right now. We got Abdul Speaks. He was born in Los Angeles, California, raised in Phoenix, Arizona. He grew up with his parents and 5 siblings in South Phoenix and the East Side. He has been a lifetime small business owner here in the Valley of the Sun. His spoken word artistry is a culmination of the urban struggle that he grew up in, mixed with the love and soul that always surrounded it. Mr. Speaks is a nationally recognized spoken word artist and is on a popular home-based compilation album. He's also the founder of a local organization called Good Positive Brothers. And we're going to get into that and a whole lot more. Brother Abdul Speaks, welcome to Problem Progress. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. How you brothers doing today?
Good.
Good.
Indeed, maintaining. Before we get into it, man, I understand like how was your weekend, brother? I heard like you and a few other good positive brothers like linked up and like had a barbecue at a park. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, it's like it always amazes me how effective the simple ideas that come to our heart can be, right? And it's just like we have a natural connection with one another. And it was just a beautiful time, brothers collaborating on basically what we can do for the community, what we can do to help each other and come together. And we want to be able to believe in ourselves enough to see that we have the solution to all of our problems. So it was a great time being around brothers that right here on the podcast with me, brother Crondo, brother Bilal, brother Anthony, brother James, some of the familiar faces, brothers that I just met. Brother Nakia was there. So, together we are doing a great job. And I'm very proud of everybody that has signed up to be a part of the community by being, taking a leadership role. It's like, when I was a young kid, I was always waiting for somebody else to do it. And I looked around, looked to the left and looked for the right. And I found out that, if I didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done. And I'm sure each and every one of us that was there have had that same epiphany, right? So we are the brothers that's going to bring the community to the community. We want to piece it back together, one brick at a time. And yeah, that was just the vibe. That was the energy. We all collab with each other. We don't have no egos about it. It's about, hey, let's get it done. If that brother got that idea, we salute him. Give him his flowers right now because, it's all about being a servant to the people. We got to love our people harder than what we've loved our people. We got to challenge ourselves from the love center that, that's what it's going to take to correct the lack of love that we've been brought up under. We were taught by a person and a people who didn't love us. And now it's going to take a lot of love to correct that. And I know that the brothers around me and the people who connect with us are on board with it 100%.
Yes, sir. I think just from my own evaluation of myself and others, I think there's a thin line between confidence and ego. But I think that ego is a trauma response, like what you mentioned, from the lack of love. So there was another OG there as well, and he mentioned that he was excited to be in that space and be around the brothers, and he said he experienced something similar to that before, but the egos killed it. And to me, that hit hard because I'm always putting my ego in check. Because, like I said, it's a trauma response from the lack of love from the community and sometimes from the family. So to hear that from an OG, I'm like, yeah, you in the right place and you thinking on the right level as well. So I say that to say I appreciate when I'm gonna say OGs because I prefer that over the elders. That sound a little bit better to me. I don't want to make it seem like y'all old or nothing like
Yeah,
that.
no,
OGs
yeah,
are able to or just share with us their thoughts and their energy, make the corrections and the adjustments that are needed, and then also be able to give that right back to the younger generation as well. So yes, sir. Salute, like you said, to all the brothers that was there, brother Nakia, brother Crondo, brother Anthony, brother James, the other brothers that was there. It was definitely needed, and I didn't really understand that until I was in that space.
right, right.
Or anybody else who was there want to speak on that? Because I know all three of y'all were.
No, I mean they hit everything on the head, man. It's not all the time that you get to feel real camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? And when you feel real camaraderie, like no hidden agendas, no backdoor type vibes, just everybody there with the same kind of mind frame, with the same energy. It's it's pretty awesome, and I left feeling empowered and motivated, and that's something that we should definitely do more often, man. Even if we just hanging out, because even if that's basically what we was doing, we were just hanging out, man, and everybody said what they did and brainstorm ideas, and I can help with this, I can help with that, and you know what I mean, just kind of like building, and that's gonna happen naturally, man. If we come together with the right mind frame, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
fact, man. And the thing that I appreciate the most is again the brotherhood, man. Just everybody being able to tell their story, one by one, being able to share a little bit about themselves, and then the collective building, man, and not just speaking about it. A lot of times we go to these things or we attend these opportunities, in the community, and we exchange information and nothing really comes out after that. You know what I mean? Like the energy that we had or the collective energy that we had doesn't continue. But man, just this morning, man, I already have a couple of brothers that we're already working on what's the next move. They reached out, man, and it's just been a collective, man, and I appreciate that part of it, man, because that's not often that part of it happens. So man, just shout out to brother Anthony, man, for just having a vision and being obedient, man, and listening to what the inner creator was telling him to do.
Facts, facts. Brother Abdul, man, we want to go delve into your background. I do understand. I wasn't there, but I heard that there might be a basketball up there at the park, and I know you got a background in basketball. You was like a big deal out here. Can you talk a little bit about that, man? Or did you get
oh
in?
man, back when I used to go to school, they used to be relieved when I got sick and took a day off up at South Mountain. I gave everybody a day off when I was sick. But no, it's just part. For me, basketball is part of the culture. You know what I mean? I grew up in a neighborhood. My teenage years on the east side, I just took my kinfolk when they came back here to show them the spot where one of the places I moved from South Phoenix to over there to the east side, and all we had there in the middle of the park complex was a big basketball court. And thank God for that basketball court, because I lived a little bit of my youth at that crossroad. I could have went left or I could have went right. And so the basketball kind of kept me. So yeah, I played at South High, I played at South Mountain Community, and was just back then we had a really big basketball culture. So my first time really knowing cats in Phoenix was really through hoop. That was our commonality through basketball. So that's where that was, man. It's just a love for the game, and that's all it was. That's where we were with that.
Sure. Now, your bio says you are a lifetime small business owner. If you
Yeah.
could go through some of the businesses that you created or started on, from like the first one to up to now, and is there any land acquisition included in that? 'Cause this is plot in progress. We like to talk about land ownership and
Sure.
the importance of it. Yeah.
Well, my first business, I started out at working a summer job for a brother that lived here. It was a friend of the family named Brother Paul. He had his painting business. So I literally started working for him in the summer when I was 11 years old. And by the time I was 17, because I left home early, I left home right before my 16th birthday. And by the time I was 17, me and another brother had branched out and started our own business called Discount Painting. And he was 10 years older than me, taught me a lot. He literally taught me how to tie my first tie, how to buy a suit from the thrift store. So we were doing things like that. And but anyway, that branched on. When he left, I started my own business, work of art painting. So literally I had a painting business from 17 on. That was what got me by. And I had a lot of ups and downs with it. Had children on the way, wound up having to be the primary parent in a situation with my children, and working the business until it kind of broke through, and I found a niche and it broke through and everything got better for us, and we were able to not worry about the next week, if you will. So that was my first business, and I'm still a painting contractor. It's still 100% going now. So went from work of art painting, so now we call it Pro Tech painting. So that's been part of me for since my childhood, right? And in the interim, I've started so many I couldn't name. I might be listed as a serial entrepreneur or however they want to call it. But some of the ones that people would remember and respond to is it literally came from me looking for office space for my business. And I was driving through South Phoenix on 24th Street, right in near Park South, which was one of the old neighborhoods we lived in, and I saw a for sale sign, and I just had an epiphany, and it was like, man, they gonna gentrify this place, and I'm gonna drive by it, and they get ready to buy into it, and I'm headed up to North Scottsdale or wherever looking for office space. I said, man, what's wrong with me? Let me make a U-turn and see what's going on with this property. And
Okay.
I wound up buying the property, and all I really needed was a little corner of it for office space. But I said I want to just, acquire this property, and I literally brainstormed of what I could do with the other suites because I had a little suite in the middle. So I opened up a barber shop and beauty salon on one side, and I opened up Yo Mama's Good Cooking on the other side. So we had a restaurant on one side and a barber shop and a salon on the other side. So yeah, that was actually my first commercial land deal that I've had, and went from there. So other than that, um, I'm into buying property. I don't have as much as I would like, especially now. I kind of had a timeline of buying it, but now they kind of got real estate upside down. But for example, I have a property out in Tampa, which again is in Ybor City, and that's a place that was heavily a black side of town in Tampa, Florida, and the gentrification in there is incredible. Like it's extreme. Like
Yeah.
literally, you got to tell the two cities. But I'm happy to be able to be a part of that because that land and that area over there actually has historical value and historical significance. And we would be surprised at the game that they play that we kind of get shut out of, because even I look at Park South, for example. Park South has a lot of history to it, which a lot of the South Side do, but Park South in particular, because there were historic figures that had homes there. And so, with that being said, if the man ever decide to make that a historic neighborhood, there's going to be funds and everything else available to develop that neighborhood. And I'm afraid that when that happens, because I believe that will happen one day, that we will not necessarily be the main benefactors of the economic growth that comes to that side of town.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
I know
before
about Ybor City. I've been down there several times, man, in Tampa, man. So I understand Ybor City and just some of the dynamics, man. And you know, I think that as you mentioned, man, it's spot on that we've got to hang on to some of that legacy, man. We got to hang on to some of that capital that's there and get our foot in the door where we can.
Right.
So yeah, I think, man, the biggest question that I have is this. You know, one, how did you get into that aspect of ownership, and what were some of the motivating factors that kept you going in it?
Some things I must say I I've always moved in a way that was a lot of based on faith, right? Like literally, I just had faith, and I think a lot of the faith comes from somebody asked me, "Well, how come you weren't scared? This, that, and the other. This, that, and the other." And I said, "I ain't got time to be scared." No, at one point, I think what it is that I never felt I had anything to lose, you know? And I think what happens is we as a people, we hold on to things so tightly.
Man,
We don't want to lose our couch, we don't want to lose our car, we don't want to lose that new suit, we don't want to lose whatever status, but at the end of the day, that couch is good. After you buy that couch, it's only worth $5 at the yard sale. You
right.
understand what I'm saying? And your status, nobody really nobody really staring at you like you think they are. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, we don't really have nothing to lose. It's an illusion because at every given moment, number one, no one has ever given us anything. And what I mean by that is if you have a job, nobody is giving you a check. They're only giving you what you earn minus some, right? So whatever they're giving you, it's replaceable because you over earned and overqualified that. And the fact that we get so scared that that's going to be removed from us means that we forgot the lessons that we already learned. And a lot of us grew up poor. And in growing up poor, most of us weren't unhappy. Some of us is more unhappy now that we got something than back in the day when we didn't have nothing. So the man's always threatening you that you ain't gonna have nothing. But at the end of the day, what? How you gonna threaten me with that, man? I grew up like that. I was good. I had friends. We was cracking jokes. We was sitting on the sidewalk. We still had dreams. So I say all of that to say, to answer your question, what was in my head? It was really like a confidence, right? And of course, I had to be blessed with the income through time, right? And the credit and the resources to be able to make certain moves, right? And none of it happened overnight. It was a slow drip and it was a transition. But I think a lot of times that people don't realize that you don't have to be some big shot to do certain things. You could take a little chunk at a time. There's a chunk out there waiting for you somewhere, right? And when you learn how to deal with that chunk and manage that chunk and master that chunk, for one, there's a lesson that's learned, right? So we pay money to go to college, but at the same time, life will teach us certain lessons and develop certain skills. You don't have to know everything about everything before you jump in. And I believe that sometimes is our drawback, is because we want to have 100% knowledge and 100% mastery before we take the next step. Some things you're only going to learn about after you step in there. I can teach you how to swim only up to the point that to a point. The rest you're going to have to actually get in the water and swim for yourself, right?
Thanks.
So a lot of these things are not as difficult and is not as out of reach as we think they are, as long as we're willing to take just a little chunk at a time. Reach on the ladder 2 rungs up in life. Just reach 2 rungs up. When you apply for a job, don't reach for the same rung
Come
or
on, man.
1 rung. Don't reach 9 rungs. Just going to reach 2 rungs up. Whatever your 2 rungs is, that's where you got to have a little faith, and that's where you're going to feel the most progress, by reaching what's within reach, but not being so scary that you're going to play it so super safe that you're going to stay right there, only reach 1 rung. No, I'm a apply. If I was applying for a job, I would apply for the job that I was 80% qualified for,
Come on.
not the one that I'm 100% qualified for. They do it all the time.
Facts. Big facts. So I know a
know.
couple of your siblings, and I noticed that you all have Islamic names. So I'm assuming you come from an Islamic background or foundation. Would you say that that played any part? And if it did, what part did it play in your pursuit of greatness?
100%, 100%. The teachings of the man that they have tried to erase out of history and have tried to infiltrate, he's truly been what they say crucified. He's been crucified by the old scribes. The scribes in the New Testament is none other than the media, right? And so the teachings of the man who is the most successful by a factor of 10 in implementing land ownership, businesses, importing, exporting across the United States, schools, farms, fish importing, the whole nine. So to be raised up under that and see that, it seeps into your soul of what you're capable of, because we did not know for a period of time as Black people that we once were the builders of civilization, right? So that thought process was not really known to us, and so we thinking that that's something new that we build in civilization. But when you're raised up as a baby in that, you feel like that's what we supposed to do, right? We supposed to be able to build a nation. So what most people don't see is that he never called it the religion of Islam. He called it the nation of Islam. And there is a difference. There is a difference because he was actually against the what I call religiosity. And so when you eternalize it from a religious standpoint and when you eternalize it from a nation standpoint, there is a difference in how it's eternalized, right? It's rules, laws, and regulations to guide us into successful individuals, successful families, and successful communities. And if I break the law, it might be good for me, but it might not be good for my baby. It might be good for me and my babies, but it might not be good for Brother Bilal. It might be good for me and Brother Bilal, but it might not be good for the sisters, right? So we want to have a law that I can benefit from that's not going to step on the toes of everybody else. So that's the only reason we have laws, rules, and regulations is to guide us to be successful, and the disobedience of the law is our own failure and our own demise. So 100% watching the workings of the nation gave me the full bravery and bravado to move forward. I literally had the confidence because we was taught about the majesty of the Black man and what the Black man is capable of. And whenever I see my brother, I always say, when you meet me, I'm gonna treat you like 10 million bucks until you prove me otherwise. So I gotta have faith in every one of you that how great you are, that I don't want to see you as you are. I want to see you as somebody that you can count on to even put you on a higher plane than where you are right now, because I see the potential in you, not just where you are, but your potential. So that's what we're looking at, is like tapping into our potential. How do we get out of the negative stereotypes, the oppression, the history, all of the trauma, and just get back to a baseline of believing in self? How can I say I love God and I don't love my brother that I see every day? How can I
That part.
say I believe in God and I don't believe in my brother that I see every day? How can I say I respect God and I don't respect my brother that I see every day? How can I say I'm willing to help God and I'm not willing to help my brother that I see every day? So my plight in life with God is going to be 100% based on how I behave with my brothers and sisters.
Ooh,
Facts.
bars.
Yeah. What's up, Crondo?
Yeah, I had a question, bro. When you, I know you said that, like, it was the faith that got you got you far, and when you went through the hard times, what other than the faith, is there any other tactics that you use, or any type of books you read, or mantras, or anything that you use to motivate yourself when you really really hit those hard times running the business?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good question, and I'm gonna try to answer it earnestly, but I must turn back to faith. It'd be difficult for me to say because there's when I say faith, it's not just coming from a religious aspect, right? It's more panoramic, right? And I didn't realize it, but I look back and I saw some of the behaviors of other people around me, and I saw my behavior. But there's one thing that resonated with me. And what resonated with me that I was doing unconsciously, I wasn't conscious that I was doing it. I was resetting. And the resetting was built into the cultural practice. The cultural practice of Ramadan and ablution, when understood, is really about a reset, a daily reset and an annual reset. It just so happened that my birthday fell at the end, and so then it turned into the new year, right? So you got Ramadan, where you practice discipline and focus through fasting, right? And you got the new year. So what happened with me is it bad never stuck on me. It always got reset. So every year I would say, this is my year.
Yeah.
And I almost blindly kept going because I believed every year was my year. This, no matter what, and believe me, man, look, I had 4 babies with me. I have 5 sons and 3 daughters. And they were all born in the 90s. So from the age of 20 to the age of 29, 30, I had 8 children.
Wow. That's a blessing.
4 of them,
It's a blessing.
4 of them spent 90% of their life living under just my roof, right? 80 to 90%, right? Because their mother had an illness, right? And so literally I was operating a business sometimes, and I mean, it was the real stuff, you know what I mean? There'll be an eviction, the 5-day notice. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't have my share of 5-day notices on the door, and so these are real things, but I kept pushing through, partially because at a certain point there was no turning back, because there was just no turning back. Nothing else could do it for me but the vehicle that I was in. I was determined to take that particular, I call it a vehicle. Each business is a vehicle designed to take me to a particular destination. And it has a particular function. So I look at each business as a particular vehicle that's designed to transport you to a particular place, right? So I knew that I had to stay in that vehicle to get to the next destination. So to answer your question, Crondo, it was more like I had to have those resets, and I couldn't be the type of person who allowed what happened Tuesday of March to stick in my head and not let me move forward. I didn't have time to be worried about Tuesday. I'm too worried about tomorrow. I say my prayers and it's a new day. I do my Ramadan, it's a new year. And those resets, man, whether you're in any particular religion or believe in any particular God, just know that every day is a new day, and every year truly is a new year. And you got to be able to wash off all of the bad that happened to you in the prior times.
That's peace. Yeah, that's peace.
Right.
Before I ask my next question, brother, we wanted to shout out some black businesses. So shout out to ProTech Painting.
Yes,
Shout
sir.
out to Good
So,
Brothers. Doughboy Pizza. I'm gonna pass it to Nakia. You got some shout outs you want to give, brother?
man, shout out to OBFC, man. So the collective, the body of brothers, man. So shout out to OBFC. Shout out to what we're doing here collectively, man. And shout out also to the End Zone Project, man. So a lot of people don't know about the End Zone Project, but that's the project where we've been doing the community work, man, for the past 3 years, man, supporting our special guests, the people that are living on the streets, man. So shout out to those two.
Yo, Black, I know you got some.
Yes, sir. Man, shout out Southwest Wings.
Yes, sir.
I personally haven't tried them, but you know what? I tried the sauce on some cauliflower wings, man, and it's fire. So check out
Right.
Southwest Wings for sure. And Central Station Studios, which is another collective of brothers who come together with the same intentions and the same agenda to have something to call our own. So I definitely want to shout out those two businesses, Southwest Wings and Central Station Studios.
Yo, Chrono, what you
Man,
got?
from the Southwest
Uh,
Wings standpoint, I already
I'm,
done tried that, man. Look, they
yeah,
fired. They fired. That sweet honey heat, man. Come on.
yeah. I'm gonna say, thank y'all, man. I appreciate it. I'm gonna say Grassroots Bookstore, man.
Yes, sir.
Yay.
Grassroots Bookstore, man, and just being a culture hub. And I'm also say, OBFC, Good Positive Brothers, and the Growth Spot, man. A lot of these themes
Yes.
keep me in check. Sometimes I can. Sometimes it's hard. You know what I mean. It's hard for me to walk the straight and narrow all the time. You know what I'm saying? And being who I am. You know what I mean. These type of groups and vibes, they help keep me in line and set. Because I got positive peers that are right beside me, man, and that means a lot.
Indeed.
Yes,
Who you surround yourself with. Yo, real quick,
Yeah,
shout out to you,
definitely want
brother.
to double back on that Grassroots Bookstore. There's a time, and I still do, but it's Grassroots Bookstore is considered like the foundation for this community in a sense, where you can just pull up, you can meet somebody you never seen before, you can gain some knowledge that you never had before. And for me, being in this conscious mindset for the last, we'll say, 10 years or so, we haven't had anything like Grassroots Bookstore. So man, I'm grateful to have that as this community, and every time we get the opportunity to share it with others, I definitely do that as well. And it's always odd when you meet somebody that hasn't heard of it. You're like, what? Oh, you need to get over to Grassroots Bookstore ASAP.
Yeah.
That's the next step for you. You know what I mean? So shout out to Grassroots for sure.
Man, I got to double back one more time, too. Bridget Pettis Foundation. So the Pettis Foundation, and then Join the Race International. So Join the Race International. I got to shout out both of those as well, man.
Thanks.
Brother Abdul, how do you feel about group economics?
Oh man.
Like,
Ooh,
have
it's a
you had
beautiful
a
thing.
business? I mean, you say you started with your homeboy back in the day, but has any other group venture transpired after that?
So, everything that I do with Good Positive Brothers is a group effort, right? And the ProTech painting is a vehicle to pay my bills, right? But Good Positive Brothers and meeting brothers like you and being in the community, that's my real legacy, right? That's what I'm doing it for, right? So this is kind of create a Robin Hood situation, you know what I mean? I go
Yeah.
get my money from them, you understand what I'm saying? And help organize and do these things. And it's like, that's my idea of it. So, but group economics is the key to us breaking free to our freedom, right? And so you guys, it's a beautiful thing because you guys are sitting here asking me questions, showing the such respect. I love it. I love the appreciation, but you have no idea how much I admire each and every one of you. You have no idea how much I see what you're doing and what it means to me and to the people who don't even know what it means to them. You understand what I'm saying? So you guys are my heroes too, man. It's a beautiful thing, because we give birth to our own messiahs, right? So it's not never a situation where we supposed to be an elder and just talk down on y'all. We got to be the elder, and we sometimes it's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? He gonna take us to the. He gonna be the 2.0. That's 2.0 looking that we looking at over there. So when you're talking about the farmland that you guys collectively put together and bought that land out there in Arizona. Man, I see that. I see what's going on. And group economics is the key. And it's so much the key. I'm literally working on something right now, but I'm real slow to put certain things out. It's not even a trust factor. It's more like I can't put it out, but it's going to be it's a key piece and it's a community piece and it's 100% aligned on what you're talking about. And I can't wait to reveal it. If I had it revealed, I could answer your question even more on how much I am all about group economics. My father and I was riding through LA one time when he was alive, rest in peace. And we was driving downtown. And he was looking at the buildings up there because he stayed in LA, right? And I came out there to visit him. So we driving downtown. And he looked up to the building. He said, "Son, why can't we have something like this?" And it came to me, and I don't know if we're gonna edit it, but I'm gonna say it like it came to me. I said, "Daddy, that's because if one nigga can't afford it, no niggas can have it." That's our mindset. We got to be the one to build us. Ain't none of them skyscrapers purchased by one man. Those are joint ventures. Those are economic co-ops. Those are real estate REITs that they put hundreds of thousands of different investors in with one person the primary and this, that, and the other. And they go in like that. And so we got to be able to start believing in each other, loving each other, trusting each other. What the problem is we love each other, but we don't love each other enough.
Yeah.
Let's just be real with it. We don't love. We gotta start love. Love is gonna get us out of this. Somebody is basically throwing us in the ocean and saying, "Man, if you don't love 110%, you ain't making it out of here." Loving hard is what's gonna be. And here's the thing with our people. They've been so deprived of love that loving our people is a hard job. And if you think it's easy, you're going to quit on me. It ain't going to be easy. But we got to love each other real hard. And that group economics is the key because we can all put our coins together and get something one piece at a time. How much significance in 2025 is 5 acres of farmland for the black folks to live in Phoenix? It's not a big deal. But we don't know how significant it is going to be in 2026. It might just save our life. Right? So never underestimate your place in time and never underestimate the small steps. Like I say, just a couple rungs on that ladder, man. That group economics, find out anything that we can do where you don't have to ask your brother for too much. If he got to put in $10, $100, whatever he got to do, and we doing something for the community. The good thing about us here in Phoenix is a lot of us that are community folk know each other. And like I said in the meeting the other day, I've had a chance to sit back and watch brothers operate for years, so I can vouch for them, right? We don't have to look at each other under a microscope. The brother doing way more good than he is doing harm. So the brother all right with me.
Indeed. Yo, and the sentiments you share, brother, they're the same. You know, I remember taking my son to East Lake when you were teaching self-defense. And I remember like a very big moment in my son's dance career when you had an event at Tempe Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
It didn't go off as great as it should because of the explicit lyrics, but it was a great moment, man. And I was kind of surprised. Like you talked about how basketball helped you stay away from like the riffraff as well as your faith in Islam. But one thing I know that people know Abdul Speaks for, I would say the most in our community is poetry. Where did that come in, and how did that help you on your path of growth and development?
Oh man, that was a journey. It was one of those things. So I could go back to being a kid, and I remember in the 6th grade we had a poet come to our class, and he had us all sit down and he talked about poetry, and I'm not paying too much attention to it. And he wanted us to write a haiku. So he gave us the parameters of a haiku, and he said, I want you to really think about it and write it. And I never forget, I was in the 6th grade, and I put my head down, and it couldn't have been but 2 minutes later or so. I looked up, I said, well, I'm done. He said, you can't be done. I said, no, I'm finished. He said, there's no way. I want you to do this and do that, and I want you to really think about it. I said, I'm finished. He picked up my paper and he read it, and he said, you didn't write that. Where did you get this from? I said, what are you talking about? I just wrote it right now. He said, you got to be kidding me. You wrote this? He said, you mind if I read it to the class? He read it to the class. And he said, man, I've never seen nobody do that like this in my life, that fast, and this is beautiful. He said, do you mind if I keep it? I didn't know nothing about it. I said, sure. I'm thinking to myself, this guy running around here with my poem somewhere plagiarizing. I said, if I ever get my hands on the guy, if I see that poem.
That's how they do it.
and so I have another story. There's a good friend of mine here in the Valley, Brother Khalif. He used to go to the poetry events. And he went to school for film. And so, he used to work in the barbershop over there. He used to sell products and have a little stand in our barbershop. But we used to always chop it up. And one time I told him a short story that I had. And I shared the short story with him. And he was so impressed with the short story. He was like, man, we got to get it in the can. We got to get it in the can. And so he took the short story and he took it and put it in screenplay form. And he did a very good job, by the way. I have it sitting in my desk right now. We never put it in the can. It's a short story. It's actually something. But it wasn't until he finished. I said, I'm not going to say nothing. He wanted to finish. He finished it and he wrapped it up. I read it. I approved it. I said, we dapped each other up, man. That is beautiful. That is sitting just the way we needed to see it. I said, now I have to tell you something about the short story. He said, what? I said, you know when I came up with that short story? He said, when? I said, in the 7th grade. So when I started doing poetry, I was using it as practice for storytelling. So my poetry to me originally was just me practicing. And then before you know it, it just turned into what it was. And I tell that story because basketball, and of course, even before then, it was boxing and basketball. Those were my loves. That was in a community. That's what I was familiar with. But I didn't identify my true skill and what I was actually best at till later in life.
Indeed. Well, before we end it, brother, you have a book. It's called Diagram of a New World. I don't know how much of what we discuss here is in it because I haven't been able to dive into it yet, but can you speak a little bit about the book and what people can expect from reading it?
The expectation of that book was written to be gone through one chapter at a time. And it's a book that is a culmination of history, current events, spiritual thought processes, and philosophy, the philosophy of where we are in place and time, right? So I made it so that a person who is not necessarily the most philosophical or the most interested in history would be able to encapsulate where we are from a historical and current event place in today's time. And I've had nothing but positive feedback in it. It takes you on a journey, but again, my original skill set is in really short storytelling, right? And so the spoken word was part of the short story, but we were able to condense things to get people years of information, years of study, years of my bookcases, and I was able to condense and take out the main pieces. Like there's one chapter called "The Brief History of the World," right? And literally, in I believe 6, 7 pages, you're going to get a brief history of the world, right? And so this is the type of thing I wanted to do, is to be able to open the mind and spark the mind to see the world that we live in, that it is collapsing, right? And it's an old thought process that everyone is trying to hold on to, and an old system that everyone is trying to hold on to, and the whole world is being pitted. I'm looking at the new world and not the old world. And so America, they came over here and they called it the new world, but it was a renewal of an old world. So now we got an older world battling against a newer world, when an actually new world altogether is coming in to replace both worlds.
Mm.
Come on.
Right? So you're living in a day and time where we live in a global economy. The world is shrunk because we can communicate with the other side of the world in a second with computer technology. We can fly there, we can do that, and everything is shrunk. So now the original borders and lines, or the borders and lines that were drawn by the old world, are soon not to be anymore. So we have to reimagine what we call the East, what we call the West, what we call Africa, what we call Asia. We have to reimagine even the borders and realize that our minds have been manipulated by something that was not naturally there. If you go out into outer space, it'll
Come
be
on.
difficult for you to find those places because they won't have the lines drawn around them. That's a division that somebody else put there. Is China Africa? We have to look
Whole
at it
world.
from that perspective when it didn't have a line. Because guess who the first three emperors of China were, right? So these are the types of things that is going on in the book that make you open your mind for dialogue, open your mind to be prepared for a new thought process.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. And I definitely want to also mention, I think it's a good segue as well when you just shared your artistic background and how it all came about. But I think it would be a disservice without giving you the opportunity to touch a little bit on what you said yesterday in regards to the arts and how it's being weaponized in a sense when it comes to our children. Because I have a daughter that's actually wants to be a rapper. She wants to go into music, and I have mixed feelings about that. But hearing some of my brothers and even your take on it, and seeing that there's different routes that she can take on it helps me a little bit. But I definitely want you to touch on what, like I mentioned, the way that the arts are being weaponized, not just through music but through images as well. And then I think we can close it out and get on up out of here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am big. The main driving force behind Good Positive Brothers was to fight against negative stereotypes aimed at Black people and people of color by promoting positive imagery. So that was the main headline for the organization. And I believe we've done a good job so far. We want to be able to continue to move forward and do even more wonderful things with that. But the lie that's told is that this and that sells. What most people don't realize when it comes to the art is that there's two sales to be made. One to the people and one to the man on the 52nd floor. The man on the 52nd floor dictates to the people what they're going to get. None of our people have ever ordered. There was never a time, because I was there. There was never a time in the neighborhood where the poor people in the projects were saying, man, this song don't have enough vulgarity in it. I don't like that. There was never a time where the guy that was in a gang said, man, this song don't have enough killing in it. I don't like that. I know. I grew up with when 6'4" Impalas was popular and this, that. I grew up in it. And we was bumping Zapp and Roger Troutman, and it wasn't the same type of music that it is today. Somebody else took hip hop. Hip hop was hijacked. When I was in high school, there was an article on the front page. I believe it was the New York Times. Don't quote me on that, but I know it came out of New York. And there was a front page article, big bold letters. It said, hip hop curbs gang violence. But that was a time where you could not buy hip hop in the store. Hip hop was moved from people's trunks of cars. Somebody go to New York, you ask them to please make you a mixtape, and you go and you dub the mixtape, and your friend dubs the mixtape, and now we got the sounds that's out of Atlanta, we got the sounds that's out of New York. It was all underground. It was not mainstream, and it was huge. It was big. It was a movement. Then they got involved and made it out of a template based on gangster rap and Two Live Crew, which was stripper hoe music. So that became the template of hip hop. But us people who love hip hop to this day, we love it because of the beat and the hook. We don't buy it because it's that vulgar and it's that degrading and it's that homicidal. You understand? But the guy in the 52nd floor, he has a war budget to drop a bomb on our people. And he has an edict, and they have all conspired. The same group that has spent billions of dollars and invested billions of dollars in our demise has another group that they have a certain acronym behind it called the JDL. And the JDL is there as a vanguard to protect any type of defamation against their people. They're heavily funded and they're super powerful. And they're right. You should have a league dedicated to not defaming your people. But it's funny that the same people that have that league are the same people that are sitting in office in these corporations pumping out kill a nigga, BB ho music to our people. Right? And so this is done deliberately and intentionally to divide the black man and woman, to make the woman no good in the eyes of respect of the man, to bring the image of the black man in America down to the whole world, including Africa, so that our image is tarnished, right? And to make sure that the black man is swinging in and out the gates of the penitentiaries every hour. He's keeping the penitentiaries filled and the morgues filled. So it's a war budget to keep our people down in a low place. And hip hop didn't do it. The new owners of hip hop did it. And hip hop is no longer owned by us. It's owned by somebody else. And so that's just the music aspect of it. But our people now are worshiping celebrities. And everything that you see that the celebrities do is the key to failure and not the key to success. We can't base success off of anomalies. Success is a step-by-step situation that's a progressive situation. And when you go into a neighborhood or community that's filled with financially successful people, chances are none of them will be a celebrity. And chances are all of them went through the step-by-step process to become successful. And for us to sit here and think that success is going to come to us like that overnight leads us to shaking our behind, stripping our behind, shooting each other, and selling dope to one another. And I blame the imagery. Number one, it has done more to destroy our people than the KKK and the skinheads have done combined.
Facts. Yo, brother Abdul, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Before we get into the announcements, earlier you said how there's a man who was crucified that you learned the most from and who's been erased out of our story. They don't want us to know about him. Can you just say his name before we let you go?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right on. Once again, thank you, brother, and we'll be with you later.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brothers. Love all you brothers. Keep going forward.
Love you too, brother. Appreciate you,
sir.
man, coming
Peace,
on.
blessings, big bro.
Blessings.
Thank you, bro.
Brother Nakia, it's on you, brother.
Yes, sir, man. So let's talk a little bit about what we got going on. Before we get the brother out here, though, really quick, brother Abdul, where can we find you, man?
Well, we're going to re-up, first of all, on the book at Grassroots Bookstore.
Okay, perfect.
But you can find me. I have a social media presence under Abdul Speaks. That's both for Facebook and Instagram. And also we'll be working on a couple other things, but Facebook and Instagram. Also, Good Positive Brothers as well.
Perfect. Appreciate that, man. So, like brother said, man, tap in with him, check in with him, man, because as he said, we're building, man. That's the reality of it is that we're not sitting back on our hands, we're not waiting, we're building, and that's what we do, man. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about some of the things that we got coming up. So you already know we're running it back for the second time. This is our Legacy Camp coming up May the 24th through 26th. Man, you guys don't want to miss out on that, man. We've already got some good positive responses from that. Please check out the podcast and the YouTube page as well, because you can find some of the testimonials to what we've done there. Also, again, I want to give a quick reminder and a shout out as well to the foundation. Man, support us on our bonfire as well. So the bonfire link is also found on our website. So you can go growspot.org. You can grab the dope shirts that my brother True has one of them on right now as we speak. That's a part of a series, just so y'all know. So check the brother out. You can go find that as well. Our bonfire page is live and available. And then the other thing, man, besides those two, we're running it back with what's called Let's Get Free. So this is a workshop all about how to acquire land without a bank, without credit. So don't worry, don't forget to tap in on that October. So stay tuned for the dates. We've got some tentative dates. We've got some special guests that are lined up as well. You guys don't want to miss out on that, man. It's going to be big and powerful for our community, man. So that being said, man, here at the Growth Spot, we are unified in action to build and protect and expand a fruitful legacy of love, equity, growth, ancestry, cooperation, and yield. By inspiring and educating on the practices of agriculture, self-care, nutrition, environmental stewardship, and entrepreneurship, we aim to cultivate a vibrant community that's rooted in resilience and sustainability.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace, brothers.
Peace.